Jaßtsäɛmbjɛt coat of arms. Jaßtsäämbjęt Polish pronunciation, jaćstsäɛmbjęt is a Polish coat of arms. It was used by several szlachta families prior to and during the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and is still used to the present day. During World War II and the Communist reform, many families lost their Commonwealth status, as well as their right to their manors and sometimes vast lands. History. Legend of the coat of arms. According to the Polish Czech writer and heraldist Bartosz Paprocki, this coat of arms is called jaćstsäämbjęt because the clan ancestors, while still pagans, wore a goshawk or jaćstsäәb. In the time of King Bolesław the Brave, circa 999, during a siege of the mountain fortress Lysogor 2 miles from Blazon, now called Święty Holy Cross, the Christian besiegers were challenged by the pagan holders of the place to send forth one from among you who is willing to fight for Christ in a challenge against one of our men. Jastrzębiec, a knight and member of the jaćstsäämbjęt clan, invented horseshoes that allowed his horse to climb the slippery icy mountain slopes and to defeat, capture, and bring the pagan champion before the king. The rest of the Polish force, their horses similarly shod, made their way up the mountain and defeated the enemy. As a reward, the king granted Jastrzębiec the right to bear a horseshoe with a cross as part of his arms, with the goshawk made part of the crest. It is doubtful that Jastrzębiec, in 999, was the first in Poland to shoe horses. Poppaea, in the time of the Roman Emperor Nero, had her horse shod with silver shoes. Others before her used iron. In 278, in Bohemia, there was a noble house with 3 horseshoes on its seal. In Poland, in the time of Leszek Roman II, Leszek the traitor shod his horse to cross Pradnik field, which was covered in barbs, to get to a crown on a pillar, and was credited as being the inventor of horseshoes. It may therefore be that Jastrzębiec renewed a previous practice. An alternate story of the arms' origins derives from the Bylina coat of arms, whose original holder had 3 sons, who would, eldest to youngest, bear 3 horseshoes, as in the original arms, 2 as in the Chiwoja coat of arms, and 1 as in the Jastrzębiec arms. Neither version is supported by citing authors. It's possible the arms came to Poland with Lech, the legendary founder of Poland, and the cross was added for a member of his family, who was baptized in Stromata. Paprocki affirms that one member of this family was in foreign lands and converted to Christianity there, and this was the cause of the Polish Prince Mieczysław's Mieszko conversion. The antiquity of the arms is attested by that of the house, which flourished in ancient times, one of the Jastrzębiec being among the 12 voivodes who at 2 different times ruled the entire country. The antiquity of the Jastrzębiec is also made evident by the fact that no coats of arms are borne by more families than the Jastrzębiec. Paprocki says, in her batch, that several hundred years ago the clan called themselves simply Jastrzębiec. It was not until after the days of Archbishop Wojciech of Gniezno. This antiquity is also evident from the fact that many other arms took their origin from Jastrzębiec, such as Dabrał, Zagloba, and Pobog. These arms are also called Bolsczyk in Silesia and Lazanki in Mazovia. In other places, Jastrzębiec are called by names coming from the word for goshawk, Kanioa or Kudbazoa. In Paprocki's day there was a Jastrzębiec castle, belonging to the Zaborowskis. General Piotr Zaborowski from Rytwiany, Krakow voivode, tore it down, dug it out, and had a large pond put in its place. Ancestors of this house. Based on a grant of privilege to a monastery in 999, in the time of Bolesław I the Brave, Paprocki cites Jaćstsäɛmbjęt, the castellan of Sandomierz, as the most ancient member of this house. Jaćstsäɛmbjęt's 2 sons, Jaćstsäɛmbjęt and Jan, who signed themselves as from Jakusiewicz, were Krakow canons, made such by Bishop Lambert in 1061. In 1084, Długosz wrote of the Jastrzębiec who came from Hungary with Mieczysław, the son of Bolesław the Bold, based on the writings of the monarch W. Ladislaw, his uncle, that is jaćstሔɛmbjɛt's son, Zbelet, Dobrogost Zema Adalaj, Jedizej, and he returned all the estates confiscated from them for the killing of Saint. Jaroslaw was cupbearer for King Boleslaw Rymouth in 1114. Boleslaw Roman IV the Curly granted title to the villages of Jaćkszębiec and Koblinki to Derslaw's sons Jaćstሔɛmbjɛt and Derslaw, of whom Jaćstሔɛmbjɛt was the Sandomier's standard-bearer. Paprocki cites a fragment of his in Oherbach, but the long stretch of time between them and their father, 166 years, indicates that they were not the sons of Derslaw the cupbearer. Paprocki cites a monastery grant of privilege given in 1199 for Borzywaj and Derslaw Jastrzębiec, heirs to Jaćkszębiec. He also includes Piotr, son of Jaćstሔɛmbjɛt, Sandomier's standard-bearer. Swętoslaw, a pastor from Poznan and Gniezno canon, was chosen to be Bishop of Poznan. Already of an advanced age, he had retired, but he yielded to those urging him and accepted the office. He spent only a year at this see before his death in 1176 and was buried in the church. Nakil. W. Mykov. Fall. 66. Praises the good works of this Swętoslaw. For saving his monastery at its beginning with generous alms, he ascribes to Swętoslaw the Pobog arms. Yet Lugos and Vitebsk, Poznan, and others call him a Jastrzębiec. Paprocki writes that in Jedizej grave from the year 1206 is covered with a stone on which the Jastrzębiec arms are still visible, but the letters can no longer be read. Piotr Brevis called Molly Small, as Brevis is Latin for short, a Plock scholastic chosen by the chapter to be the 19th bishop of Plock, in 1254, in the 5th year of his episcopate, moved to another see. Lubienski and Vitebsk. Closens, however, ascribed no coat of arms to him, and said of him only that he was of a noble clan, but Paprocki in Oherbach writes that he was a Jastrzębiec. Bishop Jan of Wrocław, in Silesia, was the first of the Poles to ascend the episcopacy, inasmuch as only Italians had held it previously. He was a Wrocław canon elected in 1062, who presided for 10 years, and died in 1072, as Dlugos attested in his Chronica, where he wrote of him as being of the Jastrzębiec clan. Jacob of Rasoborois, Castellan of Sandomierz, died at Mielnik in 1241. Mikkel Castellan of Krakow in 1225. These were discussed in the first volume in their own places. A letter of Kazimierz, the great King of Poland, Paul Kostsiena, who signed himself Zsenzisowa, is in Dlugos at 1899. Jedizej, Bishop of Vilna, called Vassilo by the Lithuanians, was truly an apostolic shepherd in the days of King W. Ladislaw Roman II Jagiello. Cromer calls him a learned and God-fearing man. In 1399, he preached the Christian faith in Lithuania, at that time still unconverted. Marsis, brother of Bishop Jedizej, endowed the Franciscan fathers in Nomiasto with a monastery made of brick. Jaćstሔɛmbjɛt, Archbishop of Gniezno, his father and mother being Derslaw and Christina, was born in the village of Lubnica among numerous other siblings. His father, possessed of a meagre fortune, accompanied him to the Bensowa parish church for instruction, and gave him up to the institution according to Dlugos in Vitebsk, Poznan, saying, "I give you up, my son, not into the ranks of students but of bishops. Remember, when you have become a bishop, do not forget your current standing, in which you see both your mother and me your brothers and sisters. This lack of means in which you were born is greater than could fade from your memory if you had the greatest fortune. When you become a bishop, do this for me. Make a church of brick in this place where I give you up for schooling." Jaćstሔɛmbjɛt listened to all of this and promised to fulfill the exhortation as a paternal order. The hopes of both were realized, for Jaćstሔɛmbjɛt, rising in rank, soon became a priest, from being a Krakow scholastic, as Dlugos says, or from being a Krakow dean and Poznan pastor. He became the mitred prelate of Poznan in 1399. Tearing down the wooden church in Bensowa, He had a brick one built in 1407 and later settled the friars of St. Paul the Hermit there, and gave to it the villages of Bensoa, Bensoko, Bydloa, and Bystranois. Besides this, he founded the collegiate church in Warsaw and the cathedral. Thus for 14 years Jaćstĉēmbjɛt held that post at that church in a laudable manner, so that he was held in high regard by all, both for his wisdom, which was demonstrated at every chancellery function, and for his piety. But he put himself under great strain when, having removed Piotr Wyss of Szlachta from the Cracow episcopacy, he recalled Wyss to that of Poznan, and he himself occupied the Cracow bishopric in 1412. He had many quarrels because of it, for as soon as the matter arose at the Council of Constance it moved all the priests assembled there with compassion for Peter Wyss, and surely Wyss would have returned to his bishopric if he had not died at that point. Jaćstĉēmbjɛt, more secure after Wyss's death, founded a city, having cleared some woods, and called it Jastrzębiec. He endowed and gave to it 2 parish churches in Sandomier's province, one in Wysoki, in Lublin district, the other in Kortyniczak, in Sandomier's district. He designated a tithe for the altar of St. Agnes, in Cracow diocese. Then, in 1423, he was elevated to the rank of metropolitan and primate, and there left a memory of his generosity, funding 2 benefices, one theological and one juridical, as well as a third in Calais. He set up an altar in Lexica, returned regular canons to Kledawa, and raised their church to collegiate rank. He died in 1436, an important, judicious man and a great lover of his country, as Dlugos and Damilu praised him in Viti Archiepisc, Nesin, and Starol. In Viti Episc, Krakow, Jaćstĉēmbjɛt had amassed considerable wealth, which he left to his successors, and while yet alive bought for them Rytwiany in Sandomier's district, and Borzysławis in Lexica district, where he funded benefices. The sources of that wealth were suspect, in that the curate of the Poznan cathedral had shown him the collection and treasury of the ancient kings of Poland, of which the curates had passed on knowledge in secret each to the next, until that time. From that time, Jaćstĉēmbjɛt's successors began to sign their names as the Rytwian from Rytwiany. His brother was Sabor, voivode of Lexica, who had 20 sons. Paprocki saw all their portraits in the Bensoa church, but the signatures under them could not be read. 8 of the sons died in the Prussian War, the other 12 were various castellans. Blazon. The following is from the classic heraldic reference Herbars Polski by Kasper Niesicki, S.J. Leipzig edition, 1839-1846. In this book, for each herb clan shield or coat of arms the blazon, or verbal description of the arms, is first given in authentic heraldic style, followed by a translation from the Polish description by Niesicki. Arms azure, a horseshoe reversed, between its branches, a small cross patty and abom, both or. Upon a wreath of the colours mantled of his liveries whereon is set for a crest, out of a ducal coronet, a hawk proper, wings sergeant, veld and jest, holding in its dexter talons a charge of the shield. On a shield in a blue field is a gold horseshoe, with its heels pointed straight up, and in its centre a cross. On the helmet over a crown is a goshawk with its wings slightly raised for flight, facing the right side of the shield. On its legs are small bells and a leather strap. In its right talon it holds a horseshoe with cross, like those on the shield. In heraldry, the right and left sides of a shield are considered from the standpoint of the bearer, i.e., the one holding the shield. His right would be your left and vice versa. The tincture's colors are as follows: azure equals blue, gules equals red, sable equals black, or equals gold, argent equals silver, and vert equals green. All charges pictures on a shield are assumed to be facing dexter bearer's right side unless otherwise specified. In Polish heraldry, all animals or birds are assumed to be in their natural coloring unless otherwise specified. Notable bearers: Notable bearers of this coat of arms include Adam C.H. Milowski, Zaury Stanislaw Czernicki, Andrzej Niemirowicz, Zdzisław Peskowski, Edmund Taksonowski, W. Ladislaw Taksonowski, Marcin Kunert Dziewinowski, known as Martin Kunert within the United States, Oath family, Konrad Swan. Jan Iskierzetuski is a fictional character created by Polish author Henryk Sienkiewicz in the novel With Fire and Sword. Towns and counties: Konopnica, Wielan County in County, Gmina Konopnica, Lodz Voivodeship, Bychawa. Gallery. Standard variations, aristocratic variations, related coats of arms. Chyliński coat of arms,